After failing to achieve his dream of becoming a royal magician, Alan is forced to work for the arrogant Duke Howard to train his daughter Tina, who can't even cast a single spell. Can he help her, or is there a deeper secret behind her lack of magic? Our new anime episode begins with a young man named Alan messaging his beloved Lydia. It was a surprising message, written while he was on a high-speed train heading north. No doubt the news has reached you, but it seems I've failed the royal magic exam. We then see a flashback with his professor, who says to him, "Alas, I never expected you, Alan, to fail. I don't think either the written or practical exam was an obstacle for you. Do you have any idea what happened?" Alan replies, "I don't know anything. But regardless, Professor, I'm sorry to say I can't afford to return to my family. And I need any vacant jobs so I can send them money and eventually go back to them. We are from a poor class." The professor then tells him he knows of a vacant position. An old friend of his is looking for someone to tutor his daughter, but only for the spring period. However, he will pay a generous salary. "What do you think, Alan? Do you want to try?" Alan is thrilled and says, "Anything, Professor. The important thing is just to work." At that very moment, the professor picks up the phone and says to his friend, "I've found the right person for you. He's that young man I never stop talking about, very intelligent, in fact, the smartest student of all time." The professor then explains to Alan that his student is the daughter of Duke Howard, from one of the 4 great noble houses. Tina, the Duke's daughter, hopes to join the Royal Academy next spring. "I've bought you a ticket. It's ready now, and you'll depart at noon in a first-class carriage on the French train." Alan gets angry and says, "Professor, you've set me up. Perhaps you've been planning this from the beginning." The professor replies, "I wish you good luck, my friend." We return to the present, where the train is cutting through mountains and plains like a sword through a watermelon. Alan thinks to himself, "The professor was so enthusiastic. I wonder what fate awaits me now." Alan finally disembarks where the weather is bitterly cold. After walking a short distance, he finds the head butler, Graham, waiting for him, along with a young girl who is a maid in training named Ellie. They get into the carriage, but it's cramped. Graham tells Ellie, "You must sit on Master Alan's lap." The girl is shocked and extremely embarrassed, but they do it in the end so they can get going. Ellie is shivering from the cold. Alan gives her his scarf and then uses a powerful magic spell to warm the interior of the carriage as if it were a heater. After an hour, they finally arrive at Duke Howard's mansion. Something strange happens here. Alan says, "I apologize, Madam." Ellie is surprised and asks him, "How did you know I was still a maid?" He replies, "Come on, I understand things immediately. You don't look like a maid to me. You're not wearing a headband, and your clothes don't suit you. I think you borrowed an outfit in a hurry. Besides, that white ribbon in your hair is embroidered with gold thread. I've only seen a very few like it." Even in the royal capital, the princess is embarrassed and quickly goes inside. This means, my friends, that it wasn't Ellie, but her real name is Tina. As for the real Ellie, the maid, she almost fell silent, but Alan catches her just in time, pats her head, calms her down, and says, "It's okay." The butler, or head butler, says to him, "What a clever boy you are. You can handle things, but my lord is waiting for you inside." After that, Alan meets Duke Howard. The Duke thanks him for coming such a long distance. Alan introduces himself, and the Duke also says, "I am Walter Howard. When I consulted the professor about a teacher for my daughter, he told me you were the right man for the job. I think you've heard about the matter, so I look forward to seeing your work." Alan replies, "Yes, sir, I can do it. The professor told me I would be tutoring Miss Tina." Walter puts his hand on his head and says, "Perhaps the foolish professor provided you with incorrect information, but don't worry. I truly wish to employ you as her private tutor. However, your mission is to make her abandon the idea of joining the academy. It's best I start by telling you a little about the Howard lineage." He then explains, "You know about the 4 great ducal houses?" Alan replies, "Yes, I know them well. Due to their great contributions to the founding of the kingdom, these houses were granted vast lands in the 4 directions, and each duke still protects his land to this day." Walter says, "Bravo. You've understood me and everything perfectly. We also have great strength in combat, but that ends with me. My wife passed away when Tina was very young, and I was left with only my 2 daughters. The elder, Stella, joined the Royal Academy, but I cannot claim she is talented in magic. I doubt she will ever be able to master our family's heritage and the great incantation. My younger daughter, Tina, has no magical talent whatsoever. She has mana, but she is unable to cast the simplest spell. A number of famous mages examined her, but no one could explain her condition." Alan thinks, "I haven't heard of a similar case before. Perhaps it will be very difficult." Walter tells him, "Yes, because she wants to learn anything in the arts, especially martial arts, because she realizes she is useless. But let's stop talking. It will be faster if you see this for yourself when you deal with her." They then go outside, and her father says, Tina grows these plants. After reading my late wife's books, she began to study her mother's methods in this land. Tina's research is a real treasure for the duchy, and I want her to stay here to complete her research. Alan then speaks, Sir, I understand your point of view, but perhaps she should choose for herself. If she can master magic to a level suitable for the Royal Academy, that's very good. And if she wishes to join after that, will you allow her? Walter thinks, then says, yes, I will allow it. And now, it's time for lunch. Everyone eats. The lunch was very delicious. Afterwards, Tina and her maid enter and introduce themselves. Then, the king requests that Ellie be placed under Alan's supervision and command, as they also wish for her to enroll in the academy. Miss Ellie apologizes, saying she would be a burden since she isn't skilled in magic. Alan then asks her what she wants to do, and she replies that she will do whatever he asks. He then asks if she would like to enroll in the Royal Academy with Miss Tina, and she strongly agrees because she loves Tina very much and is her personal maid, a black cat. The personal cat of the professor who recommended Alan for this job enters, delighting both girls. The next day, Alan begins his lesson with Tina. Before starting, he informs her that she will be taking a written entrance exam composed of 3 parts, a written test, personal interview, and a practical magic exam. Both girls think the exam sounds very difficult, but Alan reassures them. He hands Tina the exam paper and tells her to do her best. Later that day, Alan corrects the exam and notes that Tina's intelligence rivals that of Lydia, the eldest daughter of Duke Lancaster, the protector of the South Kingdom. Despite being known as the Sword Lady, Lydia is also academically brilliant, having graduated from the Royal Academy and University ahead of their class. Her magical power is also impressive, and she has mastered the Great Phoenix spell. Academically, at least, Tina is her match. He then returns the corrected exam to Tina, who is overjoyed to find all her answers are correct. Alan tells her that she is indeed qualified to pass the written exam and he believes she might achieve the highest score, especially with her exceptional essays. However, he emphasizes that they must now focus on practical magic training starting today. He encourages her not to be sad, but to be cheerful, as she won't know what she can do until she tries. Tina recalls that she has tried many times and failed, and had many teachers before him who never succeeded with her, disappointing them all. Alan reassures her, telling her he was once like her. Tina is very surprised, as she's heard everyone, especially the professor, praise him. He explains that his mana quantity is much lower than the general average. He believes they only accepted him at the university because they thought he was good at managing Lydia Neville. He knows how harsh the Royal Academy can be, with demanding and strict lessons, and half the students not graduating on time before they begin their lessons. He asks her one thing, do you truly wish to join the Royal Academy? Tina confirms her strong desire. She loves plants, and as a child, her mother used to read her picture books. She was always fascinated by the great spells used by heroes and legends, and wished to master such spells one day. Alan tells her that no one can currently use the great spells. But if you have the will, my dear, and continue to progress, you will achieve the impossible. Tina is very happy with this encouragement. Then, Ellie enters, and as usual, almost stumbles, carrying candles, but Alan catches her before the candles fall to the ground, using a specific spell. As Alan catches Ellie, Tina becomes very jealous, saying they are too close and it's inappropriate. Alan then begins discussing basic elemental magic with them. Tina states that the elements of magic are fire, water, wind, earth, lightning, light, and darkness. Everyone is born with a natural affinity for one of these 7 elements, which determines their strength or weakness. He asks her about the Howard family's affinity, and she replies that they are attuned to water and wind, and can combine them to use ice magic. Alan tells her that this answer is only half correct. He explains that his affinity, when he cast the spell to regulate the temperature in the carriage yesterday, combined 3 elements, fire, water, and wind. Fire and water are opposing forces, so this went against the theory of affinity. This is just my own theory, but I don't believe in a natural element that humans are born with. All these things are acquired. He then asks Ellie what types of spells she can perform. She says she can use fire and wind magic. Alan tells her, in that case, light one of the candles. She tries and succeeds. Alan encourages and thanks her, then asks her to try using wind magic on the candle flame. She does, but the flame doesn't extinguish. Alan is very pleased and tells her that if she can already use 2 types of magic, her future is bright. Next, Tina tries to light the candle. Alan analyzes all her movements and finds them perfect, but ultimately, she fails. She gets discouraged. Alan tells her, there's no need to be sad, you'll learn soon enough, but don't rush, allow me to give you a demonstration, you will learn to do this yourselves. He then casts a spell on all the candles, and a different colored flower emerges from each candle, surprising everyone. Alan thinks to himself, "This isn't difficult once you get used to it. I was once called a hopeless case too." Afterwards, we see Lydia reading Alan's letter, where he tells her he will be staying with the Howard family until spring. He asks her to pray that he can prove his worth without problems. However, Lydia gets very angry and says she won't forgive him. This concludes our first episode of this wonderful anime. Wait for us in upcoming episodes. And please subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive all new updates.
Our episodes today begin with Master Alan, who we learn has been sent to teach the Duke's son, one of the most powerful nobles in the kingdom. The Duke needed a private tutor for his daughter Tina, who couldn't cast a single spell. Will Alan be able to help Tina overcome her magical deficiency? This is what we'll find out together, so stay tuned. Master Alan asks a question, why can people use magic? Tina asks permission to answer and says, because we possess mana and we've mastered its use through research and effort. Alan then says, her answer is correct. Scientific research has evolved and the number of magic users has increased, but the number of those capable of casting advanced spells decreases year after year. Ducal families have become synonymous with their super spells. We have the Firebird, the Frostwolf, the Storm Dragon, and the Thunder Tiger. However, very few of those alive can execute them, and their powers are continuously declining. Tina is surprised, as if 2 centuries of research and reform have passed since the Demon King's War. She asks, has all that been in vain? The Master informs her that it wasn't in vain, but they actually sacrificed quality for quantity. He believes that humanity's ability to use magic comes from the help of unseen elemental spirits. Tina believes experiments have disproven this theory because fire spells don't increase in power near volcanoes, where fire spirits are supposedly dominant. When fire spirits are supposedly dominant, in some cases, water spells even increased in power instead. Master Alan is pleased that she is so knowledgeable and tells her, we cannot trust those experiments if we cannot verify the spirit's power. Perhaps elements don't matter much to the spirits, but most of the magic formulas used today were designed to summon only one element. Then they begin practical training. The Master asks Ellie to use another type of magic, since she can cast fire and wind spells. She tries her best, but to no avail. The Master asks her to try again, and she does, succeeding this time. Now it's Tina's turn. She tries to cast the spell but fails, just like before. The Master encourages her and asks her to try again, but she fails once more and feels deep frustration and sadness. In the evening, we see Alan in the library, his lamp lit as he searches for a book. He is very happy and says that most of these books could be national treasures. He believes Tina undoubtedly has mana, but something is preventing her spells from activating. He is determined to find something here that sheds light on the reason. Suddenly, someone opens the door. Alan quickly extinguishes his lamp. We see Alan and a maid. Tina heads to the library, searches for a book, and takes one related to magic sciences. She loves to study and delve into books. The maid asks her, tell me about your teacher. Tina replies that he's a very kind teacher, but he has a mischievous side. The maid asks Tina to leave, saying she will close the place. She follows Tina. The maid then calls out, I know you're here. At this, Master Alan emerges, surprised that she managed to discover him. She tells him, I am the head maid of this palace, and my name is Shelley Walker. Please forgive my rudeness, but there's something I must ask of you concerning Miss Tina. She is a very intelligent and diligent girl, but all her previous teachers ignored her efforts and left, simply because she lacked magical ability. Their departure pained her and she cried in secret, but she never gave up her dream of attending the Royal Academy. After you arrived, Master, she was overjoyed and admires you and Lady Lydia greatly. Please help her. Alan reassures her and promises to do everything in his power. The scene then shifts to Master Alan with the girls. Tina is very angry because the Master was walking with Ellie. The Master informs her, I was just helping her pick vegetables. Tina becomes very angry with Ellie and starts arguing with her. The Master begins to calm them down, telling them they look like sisters. He then tells them they will continue their training later. A little later, they start practical training again. They place their hands on a cat, and Tina feels mana flowing within her. The Master informs her that she has succeeded in the dark mana experiment. Then, Ellie begins to activate this spell and tries it on candles, but she cannot. The Master says, there's no need for me if you could master it on the first try. It's Tina's turn, and she tries the spell but cannot. She is frustrated, but the Master tells her to be patient and not let it affect her. Then the Master shows them the spell, and he manages to produce a cat in his hand. They are both very happy and want to touch it, but before they can quarrel, the Master produces a cat for each of them and gives it to them. In the evening, a letter arrives for Master Alan from Lydia. The content of her letter is that she is angry because he went to the Howard estate, and she has met Tina many times without success. Even you will find it difficult to solve. And of course, you might succeed if you do that thing, but that's highly unlikely, and don't even think about trying it with anyone else. I know you've been hiding something from me. How long have you been hiding things from your mistress? But it's all right. I'll see you at the Royal Academy exam. And if you run, I'll chase you to the ends of the earth, cut you up, and burn what's left of you. He won't demand a letter every day, but at least once a week. After finishing the letter, his maid asks him what Lady Lydia wanted from him. He tells her it's because he doesn't write to her enough. The maid is very happy, thinking Lydia cares for him a lot and must feel lonely without him. Alan replies that he doesn't think the reason is as sweet as she says. Afterward, he begins training the maid, Ellie, and Tina in using magic. He observes that the new magical formula is starting to bear fruit, with Ellie showing more progress. When Tina uses her magic, a piece of ice emerges. That night, Alan sits among his books, pondering Tina's spell. It stops just before activation. If modern theories fail, he'll delve into ancient records. Alan then leaves his room and is met by the maid, who asks him to call her by her name without formalities, as she is his maid. Alan agrees but asks her not to enter his room at this time of night. He then asks her what she wants. Ellie thanks him for what he's doing for her and says that her grandparents asked for her some time ago. She knows they love her more than anyone in the world, not just because she reminds them of their deceased daughter and husband, but because she is family. He embraces her tightly. Since then, Ellie has felt a strange sensation, as the embrace was so sudden that she wanted to know the reason. She was told that her grandparents had a talk with Alan about her. Alan replies that all he did was give them a small piece of advice. He then recalls meeting Ellie's grandfather, who asked him to take care of her, as she is talented but struggles to fully utilize her abilities. Therefore, to face things confidently, he asks them to tell her how much she means to them, as having a loving family is her greatest support. His own family had been his support in many situations. Ellie is slightly touched and tells him that she lost her parents when she was young and moved here because the Howard family took her in. She still remembers the day she arrived at this house, where a small girl tried to follow her wherever she went. This little girl is Lady Tina, who also lost her mother around that time. Alan must be worried, as both of them are of the same temperament. Ellie is the heir to the Walker name, but none of her actions succeed. Before she knew it, Lady Tina had surpassed her by leaps and bounds at the academy. Ellie feared there would be no place for her, so she mustered her courage and asked the Lord to allow her to enter the Royal Academy as well. Alan congratulates her on what she did, saying it's fine to forge her own path. She is a very brave and talented girl, and she's not alone. Everyone is by her side. Afterward, we see Ellie using her power to light candle flames. Alan asks her to use the other magical elements. Ellie tells him she's a little afraid of lightning and light. She wants their help, and if they help her, she will master them very soon. Alan is very happy with her progress, saying she's doing wonderfully and might soon be ready for magical duels. Then it's Tina's turn. When she tries to use her power, she fails to ignite the flames. Alan reassures her that they still have plenty of time. He tells her to repeat a different spell formula, as they have no choice but to continue testing hypotheses. Later, Alan goes to the king and informs him that Tina's mana reserves are immense, but he cannot guarantee her readiness to pass the exam. He asks that she not be allowed to apply, as he doesn't think she should be allowed to enroll even if she can't use magic. The Academy will consider her academic brilliance. The king replies that he understands, but aristocratic society never makes things easy, and he knows this well. A girl from the Howard family without magic would become a target for fools at the Academy, and he doesn't want Tina to suffer anymore. If her situation doesn't change, then Alan should do as he asked. Alan tries to speak with him, but the king refuses and tells him that he relies on him completely. The scene then shifts to Tina, who is trying to use magic again but fails. Alan comes to her and asks if she would like company while she trains. She agrees. As she continues to use her magic, Alan thinks to himself that he cannot understand the situation at all. The spell formula has been disappearing quickly recently, to the point where he cannot analyze it. He almost believes that something is rejecting these spells, but he hasn't found any flaw in their formulas. He doesn't know why her spells aren't activating. There must be a way to help her. Afterward, Alan goes to sleep and wakes up in the morning, but he is very exhausted from staying up late. When he leaves his room, he finds Tina asleep at the table, having trained until late. She wakes up when she senses Alan, and then looks at the book in his hand, understanding that he is reading it for her. She tells him that she knows he's been staying up late reading, so much so that he didn't even have breakfast this morning. She also knows he invents new spell formulas for her every day and helps her with her training. Alan asks her not to worry, saying he loves reading and enjoys modifying formulas. However, this morning he's uncharacteristically tired. Tina becomes very sad because she believes he should be more angry and blame her more for not succeeding in using magic. She feels incapable of casting any spell because she lacks talent. Alan tries to calm her, but she continues to cry, feeling like she can't do anything. She then expresses that she respects him very much and loves him very much, and she loves Ellie more, but whenever he praises Ellie in front of her, and whenever she sees Ellie progressing more than her, dark feelings rise within her. Suddenly, a large aura of mana appears around Tina. Alan doesn't understand what's happening, and so, today's episode ends. If you liked the video, please like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Our episode today begins with Master Alan and his student Tina. Tina is very sad and cries because she can't cast spells correctly. Suddenly, an enormous amount of energy bursts from her, filling the place like a snowstorm. Alan calls out to her, but she doesn't hear him. She has completely lost control of her raging power. If Alan doesn't stop her, her life will be in danger. Alan asks Ellie to go and get Mr. Graham, and he activates a spell to nullify the effect of this snowstorm, but unfortunately, it's in vain. Perhaps I have no choice but to brace myself and merge my energy with hers to control it, even though I never wanted to do it again, Alan thinks. He calls out to Tina and this time she hears him. We find her trapped in this icy place, completely unaware of what's happening outside. The master asks her to calm down and listen to him. Your magical energy is raging now, and if this continues, you will run out and may lose your life. I will now attempt to save you. I will link my magical energy with yours now, so I can regain control of your power. Although it's not comfortable, please allow me to link our energies. The master truly begins to link his magical energy with hers, risking his life to save her. He searches for her and finds her, unable to believe she possesses such an enormous amount of power. Her latent abilities rival Lydia's, perhaps even surpassing them. He then hears her saying, grumbling, "Why can't I use magic? I'm just a useless cursed child in the Howard family. I wish I had never been born." These thoughts flood Master Alan's mind. The master calls out to her because she has despaired greatly of life. She hears him, and then a large snowy bird resembling a phoenix flies above her. The master is surprised and notices that the storm has weakened, and perhaps she is trying to help him, even with greatly diminished abilities from her original state. At this moment, he uses a firebird spell and frees her from the icy cage she was in. He goes to her to check on her and embraces her, very happy that she is safe, thank God. Then the snowy phoenix says, flying above, "I've finally met a key," and then it vanishes. The master asks her, "Did you see or hear anything in the storm, Tina?" She tells him, "I didn't hear anything but your voice, master, but the feeling of being linked to you is very strange." He tells her, "I had forgotten that we are still linked," and he breaks the link. The master tells her, "Let's go get Ellie now, she must be worried." Tina refuses and says, "Master, keep hugging me. You are my only master." Ellie and Mr. Graham arrive and are relieved to find Tina in the best condition. Alan remembers when Lydia told him, "Don't even think about trying this fusion with anyone else but me." He thinks, "I need to come up with a good excuse now so she won't be upset." Suddenly, Master Alan faints and they take him to bed, very worried about him. Alan wakes up and tells them, "No need to worry about me, I'm fine." But that was strange. When I link with someone, I can't help but share their thoughts and feelings. Tina says, "I remember that you called me Sumoha inside, didn't you? What's your explanation for that?" Tina then gets very angry. "I told you not to call me Sumoha. That's strictly forbidden." The master, very happy, tells her, "I've noticed a few things about this ability. I can control the power of the person I'm linked to, and their will affects the amount of energy I can use. After I create a link with someone, it becomes easier to re-establish the link later. I've done this before and linked my energy with my sister Lydia. I had no other choice at the time. Draining magical energy means holding another's life in your hands. This power can be dangerous as it allows me to use others' energy as I wish and should never be used recklessly. So please, Tina, let this remain a secret between us and don't tell anyone, not even Ellie." She promises him she will. On another note, Master Alan is seen reading a book, searching for that creature hidden within Tina and its connection to her. After that, Mr. Graham takes them to the new place, where they will train their magic from now on. Alan is very happy with it and asks Tina to try activating the spell on the candles now. She freezes the candles and the ice reaches the top of the place and pierces through it. Everyone is astonished by this immense power. Alan believes that what is inside Tina has affected these results, and it seems it no longer hinders her spells. Perhaps because I linked my magical powers, some of my control over magic leaked into her? The master thanks her for being able to cast the spell for the first time. And now, let's begin learning how to control the power of spells. She cries with joy and hugs the master, finally able to use magic. The master encourages her, saying, "You are an amazing girl, Tina." Ellie is also very happy for her. The master reassures her that with a little more training, she'll be able to control her magic much more freely. And when you reach that stage, you'll be ready for the Royal Academy. I must inform Mr. Walter about this immediately. Graham tells him that Mr. Walter is on an official mission and won't be back soon. The scene then shifts to Alan, who is writing this letter to his dear teacher, the 6th most indebted faculty member due to gambling. He writes, "It's been a long time. Some scoundrel sent me to the snow-covered north." We then cut to this teacher, who has received Alan's letter. A boy enters, and the teacher says that Alan described him as the 6th most indebted teacher due to gambling. The boy laughs heartily, and they read the letter together. It says that Miss Tina has successfully cast the spell, and based on that, please send military-grade ice-resistant barrier scrolls as soon as possible, because otherwise your dear student will become an ice statue before you see her again. The teacher says, but transferring military supplies is not easy. Yet, no one would have thought he'd awaken Sumoha's magical talent. The scene then shifts to Alan reading a book, but after all this searching, he hasn't found a single clue. He then searches another book and finds the same mark he sees every time, as if someone anticipated what he would want to study. He then goes to Ellie to try a dark magic spell. Ellie tries, but fails. Alan asks her to try and form a clearer image in her mind. She should remember what she felt when she touched Enko and conjure the flow of mana and the effect it had on her. Ellie focuses on this and succeeds remarkably in using the dark spell. Alan congratulates her on what she did. Now it's Tina's turn. Tina tries her best to ignite fires, and she succeeds, but her magical energy is still very strong and she needs to focus her mind and restrain this power. Alan talks to Ellie and tells her that Tina is making steady progress, and they should now move on to combat training. Tina tells him that she feels he's giving Ellie special treatment, and she wants him to treat her the same way he treats Ellie. Alan tells her there's no room for coddling in magic training. Tina gets very upset. Alan tells her that he has to be strict with her because every time she casts a spell, she destroys the ceiling. Alan talks to himself, feeling that Tina is starting to resemble someone, his teacher. He hasn't received a message from her since their last one, and he doesn't know what happened to her. When Tina saw him distracted, she asked him what was wrong and what he was thinking, but Alan didn't answer them. After that, we see Ellie training with a servant, trying to hit them with her power but failing. Alan tells her not to make unnecessary movements. She trains herself daily to improve her service to Tina's household. We then see Ellie trying harder and harder, and Alan tells her to keep going. Then it's Tina's turn. Tina tries again. Before she does anything, Alan asks her to reduce her power a little more. Tina tells him it's difficult for her. The scene then moves to Alan and Ellie's grandfather, who tells him that both girls are progressing beautifully, especially Miss Tina, but he never underestimates Ellie. He then thanks Alan and tells him he's unable to express his gratitude for him trying to make Ellie strong. Alan tells him that all the credit goes to them and their effort. He then talks to him about Mr. Walter and asks if he's been able to meet him recently. Ellie's grandfather tells him that he's very busy. Alan suspects he's avoiding him as he doesn't know how Mr. Walter feels about Tina learning magic. He then asks the grandfather to answer his question honestly, and this question is about the books in the archive. He has found several books with the same mark on the last page, and he wants to know what this is and who it belongs to. The servant replies that he knows nothing. Alan returns to his room to search the books again, starting with the books that bear that mark, and perhaps the secret of Tina's magic lies among them. He then remembers the key that was found, but doesn't know what to do with it. Does this key refer to Tina? Because it can't be him, he's just an ordinary commoner. At that moment, Tina and Ellie come into his room because they can't sleep, and Tina was the one who entered Ellie's room because she was scared of the book she was reading. Alan tells them it's very late and they should sleep. Lack of sleep will affect their training tomorrow, but they refuse and sit with him, drinking warm tea. Alan asks them to return to their rooms after they finish drinking and try not to make noise, because he has research to complete. Indeed, Alan goes among his books. All the books with that mark share something, but he doesn't know what it is. He really wants to help the girls. Join the Royal Academy together. The next morning, the servant comes to Alan and tells him that Mr. Walter wants to meet him. Alan agrees and then asks the girls to take a short break as soon as he returns. Alan enters Mr. Walter's presence, and Mr. Walter tells him that after long consideration, he has decided that Tina will not take the entrance exam. Alan is shocked because he is sure, and assures him that Miss Tina will pass the test with flying colors. Prince Walter doesn't care about what he says, and then tells him that he can't thank him enough for what he has accomplished with them, and never expected Tina to be able to practice magic. She has already learned to cast spells, but she still lacks experience, and even if she passes the test, she will be a burden on everyone at the academy. Alan tells him that he wrote in his reports that Miss Tina has mastered her magical energy in the past few days. Mr. Walter replies that this is not the only problem and he must forget about it. It has nothing to do with him. He feels sorry for putting him in this situation, and of course he will reward him generously. Alan tries to talk to him and tells him that he respects him very much but sees nothing. This matter doesn't concern him alone, as Miss Tina's mother and Duchess Rosa have their own desires as well. Mr. Walter gets angry and tells him how a stranger like him could know what his wife wanted. Alan replies that one look in their archive was enough. The books on ice magic bear the same owner's mark, which is Duchess Rosa's mark. She must have hoped that he would help develop her magical talents and had faith that if she couldn't do it, someone would do the task on her behalf. This mark is proof of that. He then opens the book and shows him the mark. Then he tells Mr. Walter that he knows best how much effort and longing Tina has put into this, so he wants him to reconsider his decision. He doesn't know his motives, but he begs him to think about it again. As for his impudence, he is ready to bear the consequences. Mr. Walter asks him to raise his head. He is too kind and doesn't want Tina to give up her dream, but he agrees on one condition. Tina must take a final test. After she succeeds, he will allow her to apply for the Royal Academy entrance exam. Alan goes to Tina and Ellie and tells them what happened. Tina asks him what she needs to do in this final test. He tells her that Mr. Walter wanted to test her abilities himself but doesn't have time, so he will appoint a skilled magician to fight her on his behalf, and they will fight a real battle. He then asks the two girls not to worry because he is completely confident that they will succeed, and he is very proud of them. Tina is touched. They love him very much. In the blink of an eye, training begins immediately. Thus ends today's episode. If you liked the video, please like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Our episode begins today with Alan training the girls, especially the very strong maid. They surround him, attempting to ambush him, but he easily evades. However, his foot gets stuck in ice due to a trick Tina played on him. Alan praises them, saying, "Bravo, you've improved a lot, that makes me happy, but it's not that easy." He then uses fog power, and they see nothing. He tricks and defeats them in that round, but congratulates them on their brilliance, saying it made him very happy. "But you still have a lot to learn," he tells them. For your final test, you'll face a wizard, chosen by Taste and Burr himself. He might resort to using advanced spells against you. You must confront him with all your strength. Tina, keep working on controlling your power. There isn't much time left until the exam. I'll spend this time teaching you everything you need. That's enough for today. Go back to your rooms. Afterward, they take a hot bath and talk about how strong Alan is and how he's dedicated to his work. They'll both go to the Royal Academy together, possessing great power, all thanks to Alan, their dedicated and patient teacher. Then something strange happens. Ellie gets dizzy. Alan quickly treats her, telling her, "Don't stay in the bath too long again, or a djinn might possess you, or a demon might get a hold of you." He used to use this same phrase with his sister Karen, who loved to care for her hair. Now she studies at the academy, so she'll be their senior classmate. The scene shifts back to training. Ellie runs quickly, using her power against Alan, but he easily blocks her. Tina also strikes him with a powerful ice magic attack, firing shots at him like a 20-mita multi-shot machine gun. He tries to evade them as they are fired haphazardly. Then he uses the tightening ability and a light bomb. They try to attack him, having agreed that if they could land a direct hit with any shot, they would win. Indeed, Tina finally hits him with a shot, and he congratulates them on their victory. They wanted to continue, but he tells them, "That's excellent work today. Your final test is tomorrow. You need to rest and conserve your energy." The scene moves to Alan in the library, reading a book. Perhaps he's searching for something and remembers what happened or what the bird told him when he ascended to the upper layers. We don't know what it was or what that was. He wonders at that moment. He turns around and finds Tina behind him. He asks her, "What brings you here at this hour of the night?" She tells him she couldn't sleep, so she decided to visit her plants to lift her spirits. Then saw the light on and knew he was in the library, so she came to see him. "But excuse me," she says, "if I fail tomorrow, does that mean I won't go to the royal capital?" He tells her, "I'm confident things won't come to that. You and Ellie will surely succeed by God's grace." He says, "Let me tell you a small story. When I was little, I always begged my mother to read me that picture book and talk to me. I told you I adore the great spells used by legendary heroes. I saw their pictures in that book. The burning lion, the fiery being, the little storm-hunting bird, the ice bird that freezes everything, or perhaps more accurately, the ice crane bird. It's supposed to take the form of an extinct crane." Alan now begins to ponder her words, as she tells him, "You're the first one I've told this to, Master. I've grown very attached to you." Alan, lost in thought, says to her, "Thank you for telling me these things. Look at this book." When she opens it, he tells her, "I've found many clues on that page, and in some other books as well. Always the basic formulas for ice spells, and the last page of every book bears the same royal seal. I don't know your mother personally, but I believe, looking at the notes she left, I can clearly see how much she cared for the children who would live after her. In fact, the formula I'm teaching you is taken from these notes, with some modifications from me." Tina cries and hugs him. He tells her, "Don't cry, little one. You will win that battle in the test and you will succeed, and you will go to the Royal Academy." The girl becomes excited, saying, "I will definitely do that." The next morning, Tina and her maid go to the test. Alan tells them, "No need to worry, you will succeed, but you must focus." Then they enter the place and find the head maid waiting for them, who tells them, "This way." She then gives Miss Tina a staff that belonged to Lady Rosa. "She left it in my care and asked me to give it to you when you learned magic. Forgive me for not delivering it to you until today." The head sorceress cries, saying, "Finally, I've completed the last task she entrusted me with." Then they leave and walk to the location. He tells them, "This is the gentleman who will be your opponent today, who is wearing a mask, my friends. I believe this is Tina's father. Do you also think so?" Alan was sitting and thinking, who is this person? But there's a perception bleaking spell on this mask. "Perhaps I will know who this person is," he says. The person tells them, "If you want to enter the academy exam, you must defeat me. Face me with all your strength. I have erected a large barrier, so do not hold back your power." They begin the fight, and it is very fast. They use elements. Ellie and Tina were indeed strong. It's a perfected and organized formula. Tina unleashes her powerful spells on her instructor, but he remains unfazed. The instructor then charges at her with his power, but Ellie intervenes, saving her. Both girls then combine their strength for a fierce attack. The instructor retaliates with an advanced spell, Dual Ice Pillars. Ellie impulsively decides to use her power to strike them, but Tina stops her, reminding her they must follow their teacher's instructions. The girls then use their magic to block the Dual Ice Pillars launched by the instructor. Alan is amazed, as Tina is using spells he never taught her. This truly shows their dedication and proves they are ready for the Royal Academy exams. Tina asks the gentleman to concede defeat, as they have clearly won. He responds that he never expected them to reach this level. Ellie urges him to surrender immediately and unconditionally, stating there's no need for further resistance. However, the gentleman refuses, explaining he cannot offer anything less than his absolute best. He then unleashes a mighty spell to strike them. The girls use their combined power to create a barrier to defend against the attack. Alan, seeing this, fears for them, knowing the barrier won't last long. He warns everyone watching the match that they are in danger and should flee, stating he will go to rescue the girls. He asks Ellie's grandfather to take over as the judge, even though he knows it will be extremely dangerous, but he is accustomed to such situations, whether good or bad. The gentleman then taunts the girls, calling them foolish for not realizing their teacher hadn't instructed them to attack when the opportunity arose. He then uses that spell, shocking Tina, as she believed only her father could use it. They are at a loss for how to counter such a power. Ellie declares that they will certainly find a way, for they are students of Professor Allen. Tina is invigorated by her words. They are determined to win and go to the Royal Academy. However, their opponent summons a massive ice monster to attack them. Allen recognizes it as the Blizzard Wolf, the ultimate spell of the House of Howard. He instructs Mr. Graham to use the military barriers and send them to the professor to create a second barrier outside as a precaution against any emergency. Mr. Graham immediately complies. Allen then heads toward the girls to help them, but they refuse his assistance, asking him to only observe. Ellie then remembers her teacher telling her that if she could use 2 types of magic at her age, her future would be incredibly bright. Ellie proceeds to do just that, with Tina assisting her. A massive aura of their combined power appears, and Tina strikes the wolf. But their opponent isn't finished. He melts the ice on the wolf, freeing it anew. He tells them that if they wish to resist, they must cast a spell on him. The wolf then strikes the girls, knocking them to the ground, but they are unharmed. Allen calls out to them, telling Tina he knows she has seen the formula for the Blizzard Wolf spell before. He knows she hasn't practiced it, but she must try to use it. Tina is afraid, but Allen reassures her, telling her she can do it no matter what. He then asks Ellie to support her. Ellie indeed helps her, unleashing a very powerful spell on their opponent. The wolf tries to charge at them but cannot reach them despite multiple attempts. After that, they unleash a great deal of mana on the gentleman and his wolf, managing to destroy the wolf and shatter the gentleman's spectacles. The 2 girls win the test and are sent to the royal capital. Allen accompanies them, sending a message to Lydia informing her of what transpired. At that moment, Ellie bids farewell to her grandparents and Tina bids farewell to her father. He tells them their final exam was wonderful and that he thought his daughter was Rosa, her mother herself. He then apologizes for everything, saying he was scared and couldn't bear the thought of losing her. Tina hugs him and tells him to take care of the plants in her absence. Afterward, they board the train to the royal capital. Tina's father asks Allen to take care of them, expressing great trust in him. Allen assures them, saying he will do his utmost to protect them. The train then departs for the royal capital. Thus ends today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, please like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive all new updates. The episode begins with Allen, who hasn't been to this place for a long time, since the Royal Mage exam. Suddenly, he's attacked, but easily blocks the blow. He says that summoning a firebird without warning is a very rude thing to do. Addressing the girl, Lydia, he asks her if she thinks she can win against him. Lydia arrogantly replies that she'll defeat his father, not just him. She asks him who he thinks he is to make her wait. Allen responds that he's not late and that since they haven't seen each other in a long time, she should curb her pride and be polite or he will hit her hard. Lydia continues to be rude, saying he should have been there before she arrived. Allen replies that he doesn't work for anyone. It's revealed that Lydia is Allen's sister, but she's acting quite wild. She asks him what he did wrong to think that way. He lists his transgressions. He accepted a private tutoring job without consulting her. He hadn't come to see her since returning to the royal capital, and he hadn't told her the reason for his failure in the Royal Mage exam. Lydia's demeanor changes. She hugs him and says, "It's okay, brother, you were alone. Don't leave again without telling me. If you go, take me with you." Allen apologizes for everything. Just then, a maid arrives with tea and apologizes for interrupting them. Allen tells her it's fine, and the maid whispers to him that Lydia put a lot of effort into choosing her dress today. They sit down, and Allen gives Lydia a cute teddy bear gift. He compliments her dress, tells her it suits her and that she looks beautiful. He congratulates her again on passing the Royal Mage exam and mentions he heard she'll graduate at the top of her class. She confirms this and says she assumes he'll attend the graduation ceremony, as a professor asked him to. Allen seems nervous and asks Lydia if anyone has ever graduated in second place without a job ready. She reminds him that he intends to continue teaching. Allen says he doesn't think he's fit for it. Lydia argues, saying he taught Tina, who couldn't use magic at all, and made her capable, something many others failed to do. She calls him a professor in his own right and asks how he did it. He says, "A lot of things happened." Lydia, with a serving tone, says it sounds like there's something he hasn't told her. Allen says there are many things about Tina's education that he needs to study carefully. As for the entrance exam, he feels confident that Tina will get first place this year and Elle will get a very high rank. He tells her not to rush, as they will know the results in a week. Lydia asks him to visit her every day, so she doesn't worry about him. The scene shifts to the professor, who says he can't believe it. Tina came in first place in the exam, with a score that's almost the highest in history. Elle also passed with honors. He looks at Allen and says he never ceases to amaze him, calling him a true genius. Allen responds that he works hard and masters his craft, which is why his students get the best results. The professor asks Allen what he will do now, if he will remain a private teacher or pursue another path. Allen replies that he will refuse to do so, surprising everyone. Elle asks him why he's leaving them. The professor intervenes and tells Allen that if his concern is about the royal family, he shouldn't worry. He says he doesn't blame him for the incident that happened during the Royal Mage exam. The professor, who is also a duke, says he holds a high rank and serious problems reach his ears. He informs the girls that Alan took the Royal Mage exam and failed. Even though he passed the written and oral parts, he failed the practical exam. The girls are shocked, saying it's impossible for him to fail and asking if the examiners were fools for not seeing his potential. The Duke says the examiner Alan faced was the second prince, Gerard. He heard that the prince provoked Alan before the exam with insults directed at Alan's family and Lydia. Alan says, "That's enough," but Tina stands up and says she wants to know everything. Her father continues, saying that in the exam, Alan broke all of the prince's spells and then defeated him in a sword duel. However, the prince complained that Alan didn't show him respect, and the examiners couldn't ignore the prince's protest. They ultimately chose not to evaluate Alan's performance. Alan speaks, saying he has no regrets, even though he lost the chance at the Royal Mage position, a dream he's had since joining the academy. He explains that he's an orphan and doesn't truly know who his parents are. The parents and sister he has from the Wolf clan aren't his blood, but they raised him with kindness and gave him their love. Lydia also worries about him sometimes. He says he isn't mature enough to ignore insults with a smile, and he doesn't want to drag those he owes so much into this mess. The commander tells Alan that if that is his resolve, he won't stop him, but he should always remember that the Howard family are his allies and will help and support him in everything. Tina gets angry and says she's sad and will never leave her teacher. She runs off crying. Alan runs after her to calm her down. He tells her she'll be okay. She's crying so much she can't speak, but he calms her and tells her he won't leave her forever and will come to see her whenever she needs him. She hugs and kisses him. Afterward, Alan's friend approaches him and says, "Wow, I saw everything. If Lydia were here, you'd be counting the dead right now." Walter won't be quiet about this either. "Come on, Alan, you have a lot of work ahead of you." Alan gets angry and asks why his friend seems so amused. His friend says he saw many things, but in the end, he advises Alan to do what Tina asks and remain her private teacher. He says that as Alan's main advisor, he can't bear to see his talent go to waste. Alan calls him an idiot and accuses him of plotting all this. His friend admits that Walter mentioned he was going to talk to Alan, and he advised Walter to include Tina in the meeting. He then presents Alan with a contract for his re-employment, telling him to sign it. The scene shifts to Tina and Elle, who are happy about their new uniforms. Elle is busy thinking about Alan, as she seems to have developed feelings for him and can't bear to be without him. Just then, her older sister Stella enters and congratulates them on this great event. Tina hugs her sister, having missed her very much. Stella apologizes for being so busy with student council work and congratulates them on passing the test. She says they will finally join the academy and it will be wonderful. The scene moves to the girls arriving at the academy looking very happy. Alan congratulates them again on joining. They notice he's wearing the official uniform. He tells them Lydia threatened to burn him if he didn't. He says goodbye again, telling them not to worry about anything and that he'll be watching from the audience. As they go inside, Lydia approaches him and tells him he looks great and that the uniform suits him perfectly. The formidable Duchess Lisa also arrives and tells Alan to not speak so formally, as he is like a son to her. The scene then shows the girls in class talking about the ceremony that is about to begin. Meanwhile, Alan and his companions are watching from a distance. We see Karen, Alan's other sister, and he didn't know she was on the student council. Karen, the vice president of the student council from the Wolf clan, announces that the Royal Academy's induction ceremony is about to begin. The crowd is surprised and angry that people from beast clans are in the Royal Academy. Everyone watches as a man floats down from the sky, a barrier protecting him from the rain. He is Director Lord Rod, who will address them shortly, but first they will listen to the new representative of the new class, Tina. Tina walks onto the stage, very nervous and almost falls. She manages to speak, telling everyone she's honored to be there. She says she's the daughter of a duke from a wealthy family, but couldn't cast a single spell until she was 13. She had given up hope and thought she had no right to dream, with no choice but to live a life without great aspirations. But now, she's here, in a different way. She, who couldn't use magic even 3 months ago, used to wake up in her room and cry secretly because she couldn't do anything. She learned magic thanks to a person she met, and she is so grateful she can never thank him enough. Tina says her dream was always to be able to use magic, but that's no longer enough. She wants to learn more and more spells, anything to reach that person, to repay him somehow, and one day be able to pass on the miracle she received to someone else. She concludes by saying that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and that they should knock on every door to reach the path of success. Everyone reacts positively and claps for her. After Tina's speech, her sister Stella enters and congratulates everyone. She tells them not to worry, as they are on their side, and that everyone will be able to graduate in 3 years. She says they are committed to highly accurate and rigorous education. The tough studies and intensive training might shatter many people's hopes and dreams, but this is also a place that will make their growth amazing and fast. She says when she first came here, she was closer to the bottom of the class than the top, even though she was the eldest daughter of Duke Howard. But today, she stands before them as the president of the student council. She assures them that if they persevere, they will find their way. She tells them to never give up and to move forward. Thank you. Something strange happens. Lydia is seen taking out some soldiers outside. We don't know why this happened. We're told to watch the next episode to find out everything and to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to be notified. Our episode begins with great excitement as Lydia attacks and fights these soldiers. She hunts them one by one, and in less than a minute she has defeated them all with her immense strength. She was very angry, her body on fire, and she told them, "Do you think you are worthy of insulting me? You will never achieve that, not in a million years." The captain of the knights spoke to her and said, "You damned woman, do you know what you are doing?" Everyone then warned her to stop immediately, but she didn't listen to them and said to Gerard, "You are next," and pointed her legendary sword at him. At that moment, Alan arrived and told them all to stop. He was surprised, so she said to him, "Why are you here today?" But he told her that he had received a message and came immediately. "But I am very surprised. What happened to ruin a day like this?" Lydia let out a small sigh, and before she could say anything, the king came to them and said, "What is this chaos? Explain this mess to me immediately." He directed a direct question to Lydia, asking her, "State the reasons for this conflict." She said to him, "With all due respect, Your Majesty, this is not the appropriate place for an explanation, and I think you know, Your Majesty, why I don't want to say anything in this place." At that moment, the king's son arrived and said, "Father, it all started when my kind friends offered her some advice. They told her, 'You cannot pretend to be stupid forever. Choose your acquaintances very carefully.' But instead of showing her gratitude, she became enraged and used violence. It's a truly outrageous act." At that moment, a friend of Gerard's came and said, "Have you ever considered how your actions harm the reputation of the royal guard?" He said to him, "Shut up, you fool. I advise you to save your advice for your sister, not for me. I am the king's son, you wretch. As for that little fool, she has refused to marry me time and time again." He then turned to his father, the king, and said, "Father, punish this girl. Sentence her to death and sever her head from her body." At that moment, Alan intervened and said, "Could I have a moment, please? I would like to say some important words." But Gerard replied to him and said, "Know your place. You are a low-born commoner, and what business is this of yours?" But the king agreed and said to him, "Granted, I want to hear you. Go ahead, please speak." Alan thanked him for this generosity and began to speak. "Miss Lydia is famous as the Lady of the Sword, and would not draw her sword without a good reason. After 4 years spent by her side, I know this better than anyone else. Miss Lydia has told you that she cannot state her reasons in this place. I ask you to take her intentions into consideration." Groward became angry and said to him, "You peasant, people like you shouldn't even set foot in the Leinster residences. You're a failure, and you're not fit to join the court wizards. Your family is from the Wolf clan, isn't it, you wretch?" He then mocked him, saying, "Perhaps the animal stench transferred to Lydia, and who but a beast would resort to violence so quickly?" But Alan, being very respectful, spoke to him and said, "Prince Gerard, I will accept any insult you personally direct at me, but I cannot stand by idly while you slander Her Highness's reputation and my family. You, Your Highness, have unsheathed the sword of words, a sharp blade capable of wounding the heart. Let us assume, and this is a mere guess, that Miss Lydia drew her sword in response to your sword of words." The king then spoke and intervened. "Enough. I sentence Gerard and Lydia to 1 full month of house arrest, and Gerard is forbidden from any contact with these two from now on." Gerard turned to his father and said, "Why, father, why did you do that? I didn't do anything wrong. These two are the rude ones." But the father was very strict, and the guards took him away immediately. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Alan and Lydia, and he speaks to her about the sentence that was passed on Gerard. "I know you lost your temper defending me, and you drew your sword, but you faced things rationally at the last moment. Thank you." At that moment, Professor Gale and his companions arrived. He said to him, "I saw everything, and also enjoyed your conversation with the king. It was like a play." Everyone started to tease him and say to him, "Wow, you have a genius mind, and you spoke so respectfully. Were you afraid of the king or something? Of course you must be afraid of him, otherwise he might hang you from a part you'll be very upset about, or maybe they would put the sword in your A." Then they left, and the scene shifts to Ellie, the maid, and Tina. They asked her about Professor Allen, and she said to them, "Actually, he is currently at the Leinster headquarters, and that is why he disappeared in the middle of the party." They said, "We must go there to check on him." Then they got into the beautiful embroidered car and took off at full speed. From another direction, we see Alan and Lydia. He says to her, "Honestly, I don't know what to say to you. I didn't want to leave you, but anyway, please give my regards to Alicia." She said to him, "Wait, can you spend the night with me?" He said, "What do you mean? How inappropriate of you to say that." She said to him, "I don't mean anything bad, but I can't do without you." He said, "No, really, it won't work. I can't do that." She suddenly pleaded with him and told him that it was just for one night. He informed her that he had lessons and needed to prepare for them, and maybe he would come again. Then he left, but she stopped him again, grabbed him, and told him, "Don't turn around, stay like this and listen to what I have to say to you." She said, "Remember, you cannot stay away from me, and I have no problem if I am the daughter of a duke and you are a commoner. None of that matters to me. If anyone tries to separate us, I will give up my title and travel abroad with you." Then she gave him a kick and told him, "You must come here so I can see you every day." At that moment, his group of students arrived. He asked them why they were there, and they said to him, "We were worried about you." Tina replied that it had been a long time. Lydia congratulated her on getting first place. Tina thanked her and told her that the credit was all due to Professor Allen. She would not have reached this stage without him coming to teach her. Her friend Lenny told her that she would defeat her in the next test. Tina argued with her because she was sure that she was the one who would win. Lydia calmed them down and asked Alan to teach them all at their house, and she would not accept any refusal. Alan agreed to that. The two girls challenged each other in excellence. After that, Alan met his sister Karen, where he apologized to her because he was very busy today. His sister Karen told him that she had heard about his teaching job and about what happened with Lydia. Alan understood that she was worried about him. She replied to him that it was not the case, but she thought that he should be more careful about his sister from now on. Alan replied to her that he knew that he had told her before, but she had performed that party wonderfully. At that time, Stella, Karen's friend, came and was shocked when she saw them together. Karen told her that this was her brother. She introduced them to each other, then told Alan that her friend Stella looked up to him and Lydia in everything. After that, Karen told them that she would get to the point. The Academy's director had asked her to give him this envelope saying that he had an urgent matter to summon him, and that he was sorry that he could not meet him in person. Alan wondered why the Academy's director used Karen, as he did not know what he was planning. Then Alan read the message, which asked Alan for a favor. He had tightened security procedures at the Academy, but he was a busy man, and the matter concerned Prince Gerard, as he had just given up on Lydia and now had his eyes on Lynn and was supposed to be under house arrest. He did not know what he was planning now. After he finished reading the message, his sister, Karen, asked him about the content of the message. Alan told her that the Academy's director wanted to hire him as a temporary teacher. On the next morning, Alan met with Stella, where she gave him the attendance list for today's lesson. Alan thanked her for that. Stella asked him to allow her to accompany him and attend his lessons. He replied to her that he knew she was very busy today, but Karen said that she was committed to her mandatory class now. Stella asked him to show him the place instead of Karen. When Alan looked at her hair, he said that her ribbon resembled Tina's ribbon except in color. She told him that it was a souvenir from their mother. She felt that she held her head high with pride when she wore it, or as the heir to the Howard Duchy, she must live a free life in her name. Alan was very happy because they were a close-knit family. Then he wished them to grow up together and for their skills to grow together. Stella told him that she had been corresponding with her sister for a long time, and she had told her many things about him, as she used to write a lot that Professor Allen was very mean. After that, the lesson began at the academy. Professor Allen would enter his students and introduce himself, as he would be their teacher for a short period. He was a former student here and looked forward to working with them. All the students were surprised because they did not remember that they had seen a young person among the professors. All those in this class had passed the entrance exam with honors, so how could a substitute teacher teach them anything new? Tina was annoyed because they were talking about her teacher in a bad way. After that, the lesson began, where Alan said that he would not use textbooks, he preferred applied magic, but he first wanted to review the grades of the spells with them. He wanted any student to explain the grades of the spells to him. Lynn answered that the spells were divided into elementary, intermediate, and advanced, depending on their strength and effects. The high spells inherited in the 4 great ducal houses, including their house, the Leinsters, were an exception, but few mastered them. Alan told her that her answers were correct. Then he asked the students if anyone here could cast an advanced spell or not. Many students replied to him that they could. Alan asked Lynn to do that. Lynn asked him if he wanted her to cast it here or not. Alan told her that she should not worry at all, as he would place a barrier for this spell. Indeed, Lynn cast this spell. Alan was impressed with this spell. It was so powerful that it could cause side effects, so it should be handled with caution. Tina asked him to cast a spell as well. Lynn mocked her and her advanced magic that she would show them. She knew that it would exceed her effort, that she got second place by a long shot. Tina used an ice spell, which was a very powerful spell, as she continued to use it for a long time. Alan asked her to stop this spell, then told her that she had done a good job. Then he told Tina and Lynn that they were the 2 best students in their class. They excelled their classmates by far, but with great power comes great responsibility. Never forget this truth. He then moves on to the next lesson, which is composite spells, and says to them, "Try to do it. You can do things like this once you master them well." Everyone rejoices in this technique, except for a girl named Patricia, who asks him, "Can you combine light and dark, or is that too difficult for you?" He said to her, "Let's try this." He does it with such ease that he amazes everyone. Then he says to himself, "Lydia has always insisted on creating this spell to entertain herself, and I am glad that it is useful now." The boy with the glasses asks him, "Sir, can you summon some creatures?" He said to him, "Yes, let me show you this." He then summons those beautiful magical creatures and tells them, "You can touch them. They are harmless, and so are the birds and other animals." At that moment, Ellie asks for his permission and says, "I want to do what you did." He tries with her, and she summons that beautiful cat. Then he speaks to them all and says, "You must gather your physical and mental strength and work hard so that you can do everything. I had a girl who could not do anything at the beginning, even a normal spell, but now she is the best swordswoman. The secret is diligence, determination, and will. Do you have any questions?" One of them asked if he used high spells, so he told them that he could not. Then the class ends, and the scene moves to Alan when he went to the place where he teaches the girls who are with him. At that moment, the tea is served to them, but she stumbles and is about to fall. Alan catches her by her waist. Meanwhile, Lydia comes in and scolds him because he is harassing the girls. He proceeds to take his wrath on his radio edition, which means that he's had, up to now, the only book class that he was at. With this, our episode ends today. Wait for us in the next episode, but you must subscribe to this channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Our episode begins today with Tina eating, very happy, and saying this is a great mood. And what's even better is this moment of relaxation after we've finished our lessons. Ellie told her, yes, this is very nice, and so is the tea, even though we used to look forward to bathing after training. At that moment, Alan-sensei entered, and Tina was surprised to see Leanie with him. She asked Leanie, why are you with him? Leanie, grabbing his arm, replied, we're on a date. Of course, the other girl became very angry. Alan told her, don't worry, we just came to have lunch. Then his sister intervened, saying, dear brother, let's ignore these two annoying girls and leave. Alan told them, you all need to be reasonable. You shouldn't act like this. Don't bicker like women, or I'll leave you all and go by myself. But what do you think of a trip to the hot springs to get to know each other better? They asked him where exactly. He informed them that the Green was a large and well-mapped establishment that they could rent by the hour. I also heard it has a secret popularity among students, so let's not overthink it. They said, all right, we'll all go. The next morning, they actually went to the hot springs. Alan then introduced them to Gil, who was his junior in college and is now the manager of this place. He welcomed them all and told them to just call him Gil. They went inside and found the reception staff waiting for them. However, the person in charge informed him that the facilities had been out of order for a few days and bathing was not currently possible. Everyone was surprised, even Gil, the owner. He asked them, how did all this happen? The person in charge told him that he apologized for his failure to send the news in a timely manner. Tina became very angry. She had prepared her swimsuit especially for this day. She said, so the one day we go for a swim and enjoy the summer has to be a jinxed day. Alan told them to rest in their rooms. Then Lydia said, I'll book a room for myself and Alan. We've slept together many times. Everyone was shocked. Alan told them, don't get the wrong idea. Nothing has ever happened between us. At that moment, their older sister arrived and welcomed everyone. They all sat down and drank tea, getting to know one another and talking about girl things, wanting to hang out together more often. Estelle, the girl with cat ears, had come out today because she was very bored and wanted to go anywhere, as she hadn't been out for about a year. Everyone welcomed her. Meanwhile, the shy, beautiful girl with glasses named Felicia Foss was thinking to herself, all these people came to relax, and in the end, it's for nothing. Well, I have a good idea. I could use my abilities to solve the problem. The person in charge told them, I really wish you could, but the problem is that the spellstone we used to regulate the temperature has disappeared. It was a gift from Duke Green himself and is very valuable, but we don't know where it went, why it disappeared, or when it disappeared. We don't dare tell the Duke until we know the reason, so we just said it was a technical failure. I am very sorry. The girls told him not to worry. It seems we'll have to do without the hot baths after all. We can't just give up after coming all this way. This was Tina's message to them. We have to think together about where the spellstone could be, Alan encouraged her, saying, Tina's right, everyone. Then he looked at Gil and said, I'd like to ask your opinion, Gil. Gil thought and said, let's assume someone took it on purpose. That would mean a theft occurred. But why would someone steal the spellstone? Tina told them she knew who stole the spellstone. It must be one of the market competitors behind this. They want to harm the inn by shutting down the baths. Leanie replied that her thinking was shallow, as usual. Ellie begged them not to fight this time. Their friend Felicia spoke up and told them that the Green family, who runs this inn, established it to revive the region's economy and help people. She didn't think they had any competitors or enemies in business and didn't believe anyone would do this to harm the inn. Gil interrupted her, telling her she was well informed on the matter. Her friend explained that Felicia is from a merchant family and has a lot of information. After that, Tina asked, who stole the spellstone, and for what purpose? Alan replied that the thief might not be a person. Gil thought for a moment and told them, this happened a while ago. I heard the place experienced a panic because of a large monster. A guest said he heard a terrible scream and the sound of huge flapping wings. They conducted a search to make sure it wasn't a danger, but they didn't find any monster, though they did find feathers floating in the springs. They told them to be careful. Lydia replied to him that if it was a winged monster, it would be able to carry the spellstone, but they didn't know why the spellstone specifically would be stolen. Alan told them he didn't know that, but he would go on a patrol of the area with Lydia. The spellstone emits mana, so it might be possible to track it to find it. Everyone wants to go with them. Alan asks his sister Karen to stay here with the girls. He then asks Gil to go with him right away so he can ask him a few questions. Afterward, we see Karen and Tina. Karen tells Tina not to worry at all. Whatever this monster is, it's no match for Alan and Lydia, and they will use wind magic to send their voices if necessary. Tina replies that she knows all this, but the situation is very frustrating for her. She doesn't want to wait without doing anything. Karen tells her that the relationship between Alan and Lydia is strong. She heard they have been together since the entrance exams for the Royal Academy, where Lydia cut through advanced spells cast by the headmaster during the test. Ellie is very impressed by her, saying she is amazing. Linny, Lydia's sister, tells her that she wasn't amazing from the beginning, but worked twice as hard, even 100 times harder than others. There was a time when she could only cast primitive spells, but meeting Alan changed everything. In her eyes, he is hope. He is everything. They are not just on good terms, they are inseparable. The scene then shifts to Alan and Lydia. Alan says that he feels a trace of mana, so they must be on the right track. Lydia doesn't answer him and he senses that she is very angry. He asks her what's wrong. She replies that she wasn't angry. Alan tells her that wanting to help someone in distress is a completely normal thing. She asks him whether he has linked his mana with anyone other than her, and if that bond is deeper than his bond with her, she will cut it and burn it, then cut it some more. Alan replies that it's not what she thinks. Lydia asks him why he hasn't told her anything yet and why Tina couldn't use magic. He replies that there was something inside her preventing the activation of her spells, but he hasn't been able to figure it out yet, which is why he sought help from their teacher and the headmaster. They arrive at a cave. Alan gestures to his friends, scowling at Karen for bringing them there, saying, "My wind spell reached you." She replied, "There's no way I would miss your voice. We left Felicia at the inn." She asks them, "Did you find the spellstone?" Alan tells her it's inside and says, "Let's go." After that, they enter the cave and are delighted to find animals inside. Lydia tells them they are baby griffins. Their parents must have taken the stone to keep them warm. Tina then asks, "Where are their parents? I heard that wild griffins are very dangerous." Alan answers her saying, "They have the power to destroy a small town if they wanted to." Karen tells him, "You're scaring her. We should retrieve the stone before they return." Ellie tells them, "They look so happy and warm. It would be a shame to take it from them, but we can't use the hot baths without it." Alan tells them, "I'm eager to see how you'll retrieve it. I invited you all because this is the most suitable extra lesson." Tina thinks about how to take it without scaring them. She says, "What if we freeze the place and lower the temperature?" Leni replies, "You have no vision. The colder it gets, the more the creature will cling to the warmth." Ellie suggests another idea. Maybe if we make the place dark, we can retrieve it stealthily. Leni says the best suggestion from the first place student, but the little ones might get scared and call their parents. She tells them, "The matter is simple. We'll heat the place with fire magic. We won't move the little ones. Instead, we'll lure them away from the stone." Karen says, "That's a good idea, but we'll still have to take the stone from them in the end. Also, the weather is cold here, and we can't keep our fires burning forever." Everyone thinks of something else. Karen tells them, "When we were little, Alan used to tell me, don't rely on magic for everything. We have minds and hearts, and sometimes they can achieve more than spells do." Then Tina says, "What if we offer the baby griffins a new spell stone? We can make one, but fire spells aren't my specialty." Her friends tell her they will help. Alan informs them, if a temporary heat source is what's needed, you can do it. He asks them to focus their magical energy on a regular stone. They use their magic on the stone and touch it. It is very warm. The little bird tries it, but suddenly, its parents arrive and attack them. However, their attacks are blocked. Professor Allen with his cat Unko emits a great flash at the huge bird. By doing this, they convey a message that they mean no harm to any of them, all thanks to the cat Unko. With that, the bird calms down with its young. Allen reassures them that there's no need to worry. Gil will bring a new stone from the professor's storeroom. They are overjoyed because they will be able to use the hot springs. They start to enjoy themselves, getting into the hot springs, very happy. It was a very fun day. At the end of the day, everyone returns to their rooms. We see Felicia sleeping. She had felt dizzy, but is fine now. The important thing is that everyone was very happy that day. After that, everyone goes to sleep. The next morning, they prepare to leave. The owners of the hot springs thank them very much for all they did to get the hot springs working again. And with this happy ending, our episode ends today. Wait for us in our next episode with this wonderful anime, but we ask you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive everything new. Tina, Ellie, and Lenny start our episode today, early in the morning, perhaps on their way to school. At that moment, Prince Gerard and his entourage arrive. He says, "So, you're the one." Lenny asks, "What exactly do you want?" He tells her, "Rejoice, my dear. From today on, you will be mine." What is the story? Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Alan in the library. A friend enters and says to him, "What's with all the enthusiasm, boss? Are you into the girls you're with?" Alan replies, "I'm sorry I'm in your office, but I couldn't help it." His friend tells him he doesn't mind, as it saves him the trouble of writing a report about the ice crane issue. Alan is startled and says, "Did you find out anything?" His friend tells him he hasn't found anything yet, but he knows the ice crane is a great spell, and no one alive can cast it yet. He's simply looking for it in a book. The phone rings and Alan answers. It's Richard, who says, "Thank God, I was looking for you. It's a serious matter and you have to come right now." The scene quickly shifts back to Prince Gerard, who is annoying Lenny, telling her, "I'm going to marry you today." Lenny gets angry and says, "I told you before that I refuse this. That's enough." He gets angry and says, "How dare you, you little wretch. Refuse this offer. You can never dare to do this. I am the prince. You must do everything I command you to." Lenny gets angry and says, "I will not do this and I will never humiliate myself." She throws her hat on the ground and says, "I challenge you to a duel, you fool." Everyone else also throws their hats. Lenny then says, "If you refuse, I will submit my request to the royal family to have His Majesty and the 4 dukes attend to settle the matter later. What's your answer, you foolish prince?" The prince becomes extremely angry but eventually agrees. They enter the hall. The prince is very angry. His friends try to calm him down, saying, "Don't deal with her. She is very strong." But he gets angry and his face turns red. He screams at them, "Don't doubt me!" He strikes them with his sword and they fall to the ground. He says, according to him, none of you knows the meaning of respect. His face is red and very angry. Stella uses her power to freeze him in place and tells them, hurry up and treat the wounded before it's too late, but he is stronger than they thought. He breaks the ice and says to them, I will teach you girls a lesson about knowing your limits. They say to him, are you crazy, you foolish prince? He is very angry and his sword is on fire. He says to her, watch your words, you failure. I've heard all about you and you will never master the high-level spells. At that moment, Alan arrives and says, that's enough. What's going on here? What's all this noise? And what is that you're carrying? Prince Gerard gets angry and says, you again, don't get in my way, you idiot. He calls out to everyone and says, everyone now. They say to him, we will fight too, we want to help. Gerard gets angry and then lunges at Alan, but Alan easily dodges him. Alan uses his power against him, but the other also blocks it. Then he uses a freezing state, freezing him to the ground. He looks at his friends or students and says to them, go now while you have the chance. Prince Gerard gets up again and splits these rocks. Alan thinks, what's the deal? This boy is not himself. And what's with that strange dagger? Gerard lunges at Alan again, but the girls begin to help. One of them freezes him and the other hits him with a big power, but he blocks them all. Then Alan uses a lightning power and the girls gather and hit him with a very strong blow, but he gets up again. He started to look like a transformed monster, he says to them, retreat quickly. But the other's anger is boundless and he tells them he will kill them all. Then he directs a blow at Lenny and all of them. While he is lunging at Alan again, Lydia saves him and hits him on the head, knocking him to the ground. Alan welcomes her and says, welcome, where have you been? We needed you. But we don't want to finish him off because I want his testimony before he dies. He gets up again and has transformed, perhaps into a demon, and horns have grown from his head. I think the dagger in his right hand has corrupted his mind. He thinks that the dagger in his right hand has corrupted his mind as he feels an immense power. Lydia talks to him and tells him that she wants to cut the monster into small pieces and end the matter. Alan refuses that, so Lydia uses firepower to burn it. The monster is indeed burned, but she wanted the monster to resist a little so that she could use the rest of her spells on it, as death is too little for someone who tries to harm her sister, her friend, at school, and her personal servant. But the monster did not die. It is still alive. Then she asks Alan to continue the fight with her. Alan runs with her towards the monster and then uses his power to help her kill it. She hits him with her big sword in his body and then uses her spells and hits him with it. This fight ends with a big explosion in the monster's body. Alan talks to Lydia and tells her that he thinks the monster's body is immortal as long as its magical energy is flowing. He asks her about that dagger. The principal appears behind them and asks him to allow him to tell him about it, but he wants them not to tell anyone about anything. That dagger is imbued with the effects of a great lost spell, the Luminous Shield. If its wielder is unskilled, the magical energy will consume him and turn him into a staggering monster. The royal family has been looking for it since last night. Lydia asks him how they will defeat the monster. The principal tells her that he is immortal as long as his magical energy is present, even though it is just remnants. It is still a great spell, and they can consider him to have inexhaustible magical energy that he can consume to regenerate himself. Suddenly, the monster regains its strength, changes itself, and becomes bigger. Lydia runs towards it and decides to hit it quickly. She then uses a fire spell to burn it again, but she can't do that because it has become much stronger than before. Alan and Lydia are helpless. They can't do anything with him. If Lydia fights seriously, Gerard will perish, but she can't be lenient either, as weak attacks will increase his strength. After that, she orders the monster not to stand on the high ground and to come down to the ground and fight with her. The monster indeed comes down. Then she tells the principal that they will handle it, so she wants him to distract him. The principal tells her that he is a very important person for her to know. He then uses his power to make a large circle of spells around the monster to delay it a little. Lydia asks Tina to come to her immediately, but Alan asks Lydia not to let Tina participate in the matter if possible. Lydia refuses that because there is no other way to fight this monster. Then Lydia talks to Tina, saying that she knows she has linked her magical powers with Alan. Tina gets angry about that because she didn't want anyone to know about it. Lydia tells her that Alan didn't tell her anything. The matter is obvious because she is also linked to him, and that's why she became good at casting spells like her. That's why she wants to ask her for something, which is to link her magical energy with him again and cast the strongest ice spell she has. Tina gets very scared. Lydia reassures her and orders her to leave the rest to them afterward. Tina gets a little tense. Alan tries to encourage her and then links his powers with her. After that, he asks her if she is okay. She tells him that she feels him close to her. He is very warm. Then she tells him that she will do her best in this fight. Alan replies that he will support her with everything he has as the monster tries to get out of the circle that the principal put around him, but he can't do that. In the meantime, Tina gathers her strength to unleash it on the monster. Lydia asks her to do it very quickly. Lydia distances them from each other and then activates her magical power for Alan. Tina gets angry at Lydia, but Alan tells them to focus on the problem and asks Tina to get ready. Tina agrees, saying, I feel like I can do anything. After they cooperate, the principal brings the monster out and they use their magic. The giant wolf appears. They attack each other and the monster fends it off, but the wolf quickly hits it and petrifies it. Then Lydia talks to Alan, saying that the dagger itself is the target. I will show you what a swordswoman can do, and with you by my side, there is nothing in this world that I cannot cut. Then Tina uses her magic, and this hawk appears to fight with Lydia. Lydia uses all her strength and attacks the monster, cutting it in half and breaking the sword. Stella gets scared and falls to the ground, and Alan also falls. The next day, Alan wakes up, saying, "This is the price of my connection with both of them." Lydia talks to him, saying, "You knew you would end up like this. If I had known that it would put you in danger, I would have ended that prince's matter." Alan hugs her, telling her, "Don't think that way." Lydia hears his heart and feels the beat, and she is reassured. She promises Alan that she will always be the kind girl by his side, but she gets upset because he had embraced the little girl, Tina. The younger girls try to eavesdrop on them inside, but suddenly Richard appears from behind them, startling them all. The door opens. Alan notices this and reassures Richard. He tells him that he has detained Gerard, but his punishment has not yet been decided. Arn said that he should visit her when he recovers. Lydia gets angry and says that the foolish prince is one of them, so what do you have to say about the chaos he caused? Richard gets nervous and says, "We didn't monitor him as we should have, and we're sorry for that, but it was what was in that dagger that turned Gerard into that monster." Lydia becomes very angry and attacks Richard. At this moment, Lady Lisa and her daughter enter. They find the place very noisy and thank Alan for his efforts and check on his health. He says to her, "Thank you for visiting me, Lady Lisa. I realize now that I should have waited for more help to arrive from the professor and the others. I bear responsibility in this case. I brought Gerard's animosity upon myself and am not fit to continue as a teacher for the children." Lady Lisa calls out and asks Lenny, "Do you want Teacher Alan to continue teaching you?" Lenny agrees strongly. Lady Lisa says, "We are by your side, Professor Alan. Don't worry about anything. Everyone loves you, and your parents trust us to take care of you." He thanks her profusely for that. The scene then shifts to Professor Alan watching Tina in the dark of the night as she walks outside. He asks her what she is doing at this time. She tells him that she is just walking and that she is very happy with the plants and flowers here. The teacher says to her that they are also beautiful during the day, but the night adds a special atmosphere. Tina says, "Today I saw clearly that I am still far from the required level." Alan reassures her that she is constantly improving. She gets very angry because that is not what she meant, but rather, "I am not qualified to stand by your side as I am now. The only person capable of that is Lydia. As for us, we just follow you wherever you lead us. When things go bad, the one who stands by your side is only Lydia." The teacher reassures her not to worry about anything because Lydia is the kingdom's pride, a master of the sword, and she was not always as she is today. "You, Tina, must continue your growth and progress one step at a time." Tina begins to cry and says, "I may look like a child in your eyes, Professor, but I will not remain small forever. I will earn my place by your side. I swear on my late mother and on the staff and ribbon she left for me. So please, watch me as I achieve that and continue to support me." The teacher tells her, "I will do that, and I await the day you fulfill this promise." Tina becomes very happy. With this happy ending, our episode ends today. Wait for us in the next episode of this anime, but please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. Our episode today begins with Alan speaking to Karen. She tells him, "Actually, I wanted to talk to you about Stella right after your battle with Prince Gerard. She fainted at that time." Alan is surprised and asks, "She fainted? How? How is she doing now?" Karen informs him that Stella faces no physical problems, but psychologically she is completely devastated. This means that after she saw Tina and Lynn perform that spell, she became severely disheartened. "I know Stella is a genuinely hardworking girl. She has always put in a great effort, but she just hasn't reached that stage yet. She was fundamentally obsessed with the idea of high-level magic. She is very strong, and I think she will get over it." Alan says to her, "Tell me immediately if anything new happens." The scene shifts to Alan as he goes to the director, who tells him, "Prince Gerard has been suspended indefinitely and no punishment will be imposed on you." Alan thanks him. "Thank you, sir. As for that voice I heard during the battle, I heard a voice say, 'Perish, you fake.' I think it was indeed the lost great spell, the glacial calamity." The director replies, "I'm sorry to say that you were the only one who heard that voice. We heard nothing. But if I'm not mistaken, it is not an evil entity. But tell me, what did it mean by fake? And have you told the two of them about this?" "Not yet," Alan says. "I was looking for a way to control it." Before he can finish, Stella enters, apologizing for the interruption. She informs them that one of their classmates will be returning to school soon and requests the director's permission regarding her. He reads the document and finds it is Felicia Foss. "But tell me, has her health improved?" he asks. Stella confirms yes, she seems to be in good condition to return to school. "My sister and I will help her catch up on the lessons she missed." "I don't think it will be easy, so we will do everything we can." The director thanks her, and she leaves. Afterward, the director says to Alan, "Stella's doing a wonderful job as our student council president, even though the position should have rightfully been your sister's." Alan replies, "Sir, I don't mind. The children of beasts still face deep-rooted discrimination. I know the system is rigged, But my sister is happy to support Miss Stella as the vice president. She puts in a great effort, the students trust her, and she is fully qualified to lead the student council. Elsewhere, we see Stella talking to herself. I am completely confident in myself and satisfied with what I am doing. In truth, my father was against my enrollment in this academy. She recalls what happened. Her father had told her, "You don't need to enroll in the Royal Academy. It's a savage place that runs on luck, and I'm worried about you. Besides, you have no chance of mastering that magic, Stella." "I'm sorry, father, please," she had pleaded. "I will work sincerely to achieve it. Studying hard at the Royal Academy will definitely pay off." "Enough of this," he'd exclaimed. "Mana capacity is determined at birth. You shouldn't do something you don't have enough mana for. While your two sisters have it in abundance, they can't even use basic spells. Our family's magical lineage will stop with my generation. We must find a new path." "No," she'd said firmly. "I will attend the Royal Academy and then the university. I will prove that I have talents befitting the future Duchess Howard." Then she left, furious. Her mother had believed in and trusted her. Stella did her best with everything she had. People gathered around her, everyone loved her, and as a result, she became the student council president and surpassed most of her peers. That little bit of pride was what kept her standing until the end. Until everything changed recently. Later, they give Felicia a warm welcome back to school. She thanks them all, mentioning she was away for a very long time. She then asks, "Is it true that you defeated Prince Gerard with magic?" They reply, "Yes, and the credit goes to Tina. She took him down with a high-level spell taught by Professor Allen. We are all so proud from the bottom of our hearts." Everyone is happy, but Stella seems lost in her own thoughts. Afterward, Karen walks with Stella, telling her how much fun she had and how happy she was that Felicia blended in so quickly with the new girls. She then suggests to Stella that they get together in her room for a while, as they haven't had a chance to sit and chat recently. Stella declines, explaining that she has an errand to run, and apologizes for not being able to today. Karen asks if it's related to the student council, but Stella says no. Karen understands, assuming she is going to study. "You'll exhaust yourself if you keep on like this," she warns. Stella reassures her, "If you're referring to what happened that day, it was only because I felt a great sense of relief after the fight was over. I'm fine, there's no need to worry." She then returns to her room. When she gets to her room, she imagines her younger self sitting on the couch, who tells her, "You collapsed from sheer jealousy and despair. Tina didn't even know how to perform simple spells, and now she has brilliantly mastered high-level magic. Alan and Lynn also stood bravely against Gerard, but you were a coward and didn't move a single step. It was shamefully frustrating." Stella tries to argue with her imaginary self. "You're very wrong. I tried to join the fight too." Her younger self retorts, "You backed down after you heard what Gerard said, that you would never master high-level spells. From the beginning, when you met Karen at the academy, her talent sparked jealousy and despair inside you. I looked up to her to reach that level," Stella says angrily. Her vision crushes her. "Karen is a better practical mage than you, and you could never keep up with her. You still believe you only became the council president because Karen stepped aside for you. That's why Tina surpassed you so easily. So tell me, how does it feel now that Tina has suddenly overtaken you? The cursed child of the Howard family who couldn't perform any magic." Stella breaks down, sobbing, telling her, "I was so happy when my sister learned magic." She then falls asleep and wakes up terrified from what happened. The next morning, we see Alan with Lord Gale. Gale says to Alan, "I didn't know you were the type to go out of your way to make your life harder. You're still not giving private lessons while working at the Royal Academy, and, on top of that, you're also pleasing Lydia and even helping the Howard and Leinster families with a business project." Alan replies, "Choosing the right business partners is of the utmost importance." Gale asks him, "Have you decided to climb the social ladder, perhaps?" "Impossible," Alan responds. "I would never do that. I only help in my spare time." "It seems to me you're just a puppet moved by hidden strings," Gale says. "The professor is a close friend to both dukes, and Duchess Lisa was his student." "Anyway, what did you come here for so early in the morning?" Alan asks. "If you're bored, your help is welcome. Why don't you try joking around with Lydia instead of me?" Gale tells him. "My life would be in danger if I joked with her." He then backtracks, saying, "Don't ask me to do something that could end my life." Alan tells Gael he has recorded everything and will show it to Lydia. Gael gets angry, saying, "Oh, spare me, I have more than enough to deal with." Then, Alan says to Gael, "I have a class, and you shouldn't skip your university lessons." Gael replies, "I'll try, but you need to give yourself a break too. You've become a real teacher, you know. People are talking about you both inside and outside the country after that incident. Some conservatives are hostile towards you, saying you'll bring disaster, so be careful." "I'll keep that in mind," Alan replies, "but seeing my students grow is truly exciting." He then thanks Gael, saying, "We'll talk later," and bids him farewell. The scene then shifts to Felicia, who says to Stella and Karen, "We want to build a multi-element spell. I can shorten this part." Stella answers her, "Start from that point and work backward to adjust the activation timing. It would be best to lengthen this part a little." "I'm so exhausted," Felicia says. Stella thanks her for her diligent work on her first day back. Then, Karen suggests they go to the sky blue-roofed cafe. Felicia agrees, but Stella declines because she has work she wants to finish. She says goodbye to them and leaves. Afterward, Felicia says to Karen, "Stella is acting strangely. She's always suppressing her feelings." Karen replies, "It's best if we leave her be for a little while." Then we go to Alan, who is speaking with Tina. "You seem very expectant. This topic is extremely important and serious," he says. He asks her, "Do you remember when you once told me that you wanted to perform a great spell? There is something connected to great magic inside you." Tina is astonished that there is such magic inside her. Alan continues his explanation. "I have heard a voice 3 times so far, and I've seen something, though unclearly, but for some reason it seems no one but me can hear or see it. I think it's one of the lost great spells, the Glacial Calamity. I realize it's hard to believe, but the Academy Director agrees with me. There is still much we don't know, but I believe we must seek the answers gradually, one question at a time. The spell inside you has no malicious intent, so don't worry, I am with you. Our first step is to master control over your mana. Let's work on that together." Tina is overwhelmed. "This is a spell from the legends. I've read about it in books." But when Alan reassures her, she becomes very happy. Later, Alan conducts a practical lesson with the students. Tina and Lynn continue to practice adjusting the power of their spells. Ellie asks him to teach her an advanced spell. He tells her, "I can teach you its formulas, but I don't have enough mana to show you a practical demonstration." Then, Ellie asks if he can link his mana with hers, as he did with Tina and Lydia. "I want to be able to help you when you need it," she says. Lynn gets jealous and also wants to learn these powerful spells. Professor Allen is pleased with their enthusiasm and advises them to take care of their personal health. However, Lynn becomes upset because she feels the professor gives Tina special treatment. Ellie is also annoyed because he seems to care only about Lady Tina, calling his behavior unfair. They all become disheartened and start ganging up on her. The professor tries to stop them and calm them down. At that moment, Lydia intervenes. She offers to teach them an advanced spell and says she will help. Alan notices a pulse from Lydia's mana, and at that moment, he borrows a little of it. He holds their hands and begins to draw a bit of mana from her. Alan then performs the elemental camouflage spell, using advanced magic. Fireballs emerge and then transform into glass crystals, much to the students' delight. Next, Alan performs another very powerful spell that uses multiple elements in a single incantation. It descends upon them like shining stars in a beautiful display that enchants the students. He explains that this is a practical application of the same concept they practiced with the candles and tells them they will master these spells in a short time. He then asks Ellie to give him the name of an animal, and she chooses horse. At that, he performs a spell, and from it, a very beautiful horse appears. It walks over to Ellie, who becomes overjoyed as it begins to play with her. The teacher reassures her, encouraging her that she will learn all these skills before the end of term exams, but they must all work hard together. Everyone promises him that they will do their absolute best to learn all the spells. Afterward, they rest and drink tea, ending a very happy day. In the evening, we see a very tired Stella trying to learn all the high-level spells to earn her teacher Alan's approval and prove to her father that she isn't inferior to anyone. But she tries again and again and fails, which makes her very sad. Her friends watch her, deeply affected by her struggle. She goes to her bedroom and finds a picture on the table. It's a picture of her and her 2 friends as children, a picture that expresses their happy bond. She gazes at the picture, feels a surge of happiness, and looking over at her friends, thanks them for the beautiful gift. Her friends weren't actually asleep. They were watching her reaction and are delighted to see her happy. Filled with joy, Stella looks out the window at the moon and remembers a happy memory with her mother. Her mother used to tell her, "Watch the moon and the stars quietly like this, and don't make a sound. When you do, the elemental spirits will show you the way." Stella feels a renewed sense of happiness and promises her mother that she will continue to strive with even greater effort. And with this happy ending, our episode today concludes. Join us for the upcoming episodes of this wonderful anime, but we ask you to please subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive everything new. The episode begins at the Supreme Academy of Absolute Magic, where everyone is training and mastering their spells with ease. Felicia, however, fails yet again. Stella comes to comfort and encourage her, telling her to take a break. Stella's book falls and a young man picks it up. Felicia stares at him as if she's never seen a man before. The scene shifts to Alan, who is sitting with a man named Ernest Foss, the head of the Foss Company. This means he is Ms. Foss's father. "Excuse me, Alan, what do you want from me?" Mr. Foss asks. "Nothing, Chief," Alan replies. "You specified your desire to deal with all kinds of juice and Hoarth products, but how do you intend to manage this large volume of goods?" "We'll discuss everything after the contract," Mr. Foss says. "We'll handle the rest later, don't worry about it." "All right," Alan says. "But since all the goods on this list bear the My Taste logo, we can't offer them under such unsecured conditions." The scene shifts back to Felicia, who is acting strangely. She hugs Stella and says, "Your hug is so nice. I don't find this kind of comfort with Karen." Stella sees something behind her, but Felicia hides it, saying, "It's nothing." They press her until she starts to talk. "You know I help with the family business. A few days ago, my father tried to make a deal and ruined everything completely." She stops talking and her friend gives her an electric shock to the head, saying, "Come on, finish talking. I don't have time for this." Felicia continues, "And that's why I was wrong from the beginning. I was busy going back to school and didn't have time to review the papers. My dad told me to leave it to him because he would deal with the young man." The scene moves to Alan, who is with Stella. She scolds him, Don't you think you should have told me you dealt with Felicia's father? I'm sorry, I really am, Alan says. Felicia is more affected by the matter than you can imagine, Stella says. At that moment, the girls enter. As usual, Ellie is about to fall, but Alan uses his power to stop her. They come to him with a letter and gather around to see who sent it. Girls, it's wrong for you to pry, Alan says. Sorry, but we have to know, they reply. Alan explains to them, this is a report about a company I've dealt with in previous years, and this is the certificate they gave me. I noticed a status improvement after a certain point, and I can't understand why. But even though the company is developing, there's no report of an increase in profits, as if someone is pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Karen stands up and says, I'm going to school, then turns to the three girls and says, you should be respectful to your teacher and never take advantage of him. Alan also leaves. We see them at home eating a delicious meal that Shelley prepared. Everyone praises her cooking. The meat was imported from Egypt and the vegetables were from North Africa. It's deer meat on ice. Transporting ingredients to the royal capital seems very difficult. Maybe it was shipped by train, Alan says to them. Altina and Ellie, have you noticed anything strange about Ms. Stella? They reply, not really. She's still the steady student council president. She always works hard. Okay, good, Alan says. Just don't forget to review today's lessons after you eat so you don't forget anything. In the morning, the scene shifts to Felicia, who is very nervous. Maybe she's going to meet her boyfriend? Felicia speaks with Alan and apologizes for her father's behavior that day. I know I have no right to ask this, but please, give us another chance to negotiate the contract. I know my request is unreasonable, she says. Alan tells her, as the person in charge of managing the Foss company, you have to try every avenue. He then turns to Tina and Lenny and says, I realized this thanks to you two. Maybe the company's survival, despite its unchanged circumstances, is because some unseen person got it back on track. When this thought occurred to me, I noticed one thing changed. Mr. Foss summoned his family to the royal capital. He then asks Felicia, did you arrive before the company's profits improved? Your name doesn't appear in any commercial documents, and a normal student can't monitor her family's business affairs and come to see me like this. But, unfortunately, as the person in charge of reviewing the two Dukes' business partners, I cannot give you preferential treatment. However, in my personal capacity, I will help you as much as I can. Felicia apologizes again and hurries away. Stella runs after her, telling her running will negatively affect your health. Then Tiny, Lenny, and Karen come and tell her to go to Alan because he will help her. He never lets down anyone who asks for his help. He will help with everything he has and can. They meet again, and Felicia asks Alan, what do we do now? Alan tells her, I think you should give up on the idea of getting everything. I don't think the Foss company has the resources to deal with all the items on the list. You have to be more conservative in your negotiations. Transporting and storing goods from the north and south is not an easy matter. Felicia thinks about Alan's words and says, I want to give you another chance to negotiate. The scene then shifts to Alan and Ernest, who thanks him for giving them another chance. Alan says, we want to bring a new offer that includes details of our plan for transporting and storing each item. Alan then tells them that he wants to see their proposals. He reads the paper and says to them, this is wonderful. I want to make a deal with you. In our last meeting, you asked to deal with the entire list of wines and products. This time, you specified Leinster red wine and clarified the storage facilities and sales routes. You've provided a clear vision for your way of working. I can justify this proposal to both Dukes, and I'd also be happy to sign a preliminary contract. Felicia then asks, do you have any alcoholic beverages that are not on the list? In my opinion, the Howards focused on agricultural products in their offers, and this also applies to the Leinsters. If the House of Duke Leinster offers wine, I wonder if the House of Duke Howard has something to balance the scales? Ernest then says Felicia has a vast imagination. After that, the maid enters with wine. Alan says, white wine from Leinster and a distilled drink from Howard. Ernest tastes it and likes it very much. Alan is happy and says, in fact, I think we can make a deal for one of them. Felicia and her father then say, in addition to the Leinster red wine, we'll take the distilled white wine. They explain that the distilled drinks trade is almost non-existent and they don't think the capital's residents are accustomed to its taste. They read the papers that describe it in detail, and Felicia insists on bringing this white wine to the north because they will love its taste very much. She asks her father's permission and he agrees to her request. Mr. Allen then asks her what she plans to do after college, and she tells him that she wants to help with the family business. Allen says he has a request to make. Please, say what you have without hesitation, her father says. But if you're asking for her hand in marriage, I will refuse. That's a very tempting offer, Allen says. Then he turns to Felicia and says, if you're interested, and assuming this joint venture continues, would you like to work here? It might be good to expand your horizons. Please think about it. They are shocked, and her father says, my daughter can't do that. But Allen wants to see her creativity on a wider canvas. She thinks about this matter. That evening, as she lies in her bed, she's very happy that the deal has been made. She sits up and takes out a drawing, or map, feeling very happy and hoping that this drink will spread widely. After that, they will become intermediaries and expand trade across the continent. But she says, I can't do that. Then she remembers what Mr. Allen said to her, I want to see what you can create on a wider canvas. She looks out the window, having made her decision. She has agreed to join and work with Mr. Allen. In the morning, she goes to see Mr. Allen, who is sitting with Ms. Liza. Mr. Allen is surprised. Liza says, "I'll help you, and the Howards as well." Walter has agreed to this, and I'll stay with you for now. Alan says, "But I said that would be after you graduated from college. What about the academy?" Felicia says, "I'll withdraw this semester." But Alan is worried about her and her relationship with her father. The girl says, "My father disowned me. My mom says it's his way of showing he cares. I think he's telling me to forget about the Foss Company and expand my horizons. Don't worry, Mr. Allen. I'll work well and prove my competence to you." Alan stands up and asks her to show him what she can create on a wider canvas. Felicia promises to show him something that will exceed his expectations. In the evening, she meets with her friends and tells them that she will withdraw from school this semester. Her friends are shocked because she has put in a great effort. She tells them, "I love school, but I've realized what I truly want to do. I will become a great merchant. Everything that has happened has made me realize how much I love business. I won't lose in this field, my friends." Her friends advise her not to withdraw from school. She tells them that school takes up a lot of time and she has been given an opportunity to work, and she doesn't think she'll get an opportunity like this again. She then gives her friends a big hug because she wouldn't have gotten to this point without them, and she thanks them from the bottom of her heart for always being by her side in both the good and difficult moment. The scene then shifts to Alan, who wakes up Lydia to have breakfast with him, but she is annoyed and wants to sleep. Finally, she wakes up, and suddenly there is a knock at the door. It's Karen, crying and hugging her brother Alan. "Stella is gone," she says. "Where did she go, and did someone kidnap her?" We'll find out in the next episode, so stay tuned. We also ask you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all our new updates. Our episode today begins with Alan and Stella, who are perhaps facing each other in a very intense training session. Stella says, "Finally, I hit inside that circle. I'm so happy. Really." Alan approaches her, puts his hand on her head, and says, "Come on, Stella. You're stronger than that. Good job. You were brilliant today, and you're getting good at aiming." The scene shifts to when she was preparing for the big match. Her maid said to her, "I will be watching the match, my lady. I wish you good luck, Stella. I want you to give it your all. I know you're smart and can do the impossible." Stella thanked her and said, "Honestly, I don't know what I'd do without you, and I'm always causing you trouble. I'm so sorry, you're just like my mother." At that moment, Alan enters, but in a completely different look. Everyone is so happy with this look. It's the first time they've seen him like this. His sister comes and hugs him and says, "You look amazing. What is this beauty?" He says to her, "Lenny, that's enough so no one looks at me and draws attention." After that, Lydia comes and says, "Oh my God, what a sight." It's the first time we've seen Alan in new clothes. Alan says to them, "Forget this trivial talk, let's give our all today." After that, we see Felicia telling Stella, "By the way, I'm the one who made Mr. Allen's clothes. What do you think of them?" Everyone is present, even Ellie, Carlin, and Tina. Everyone will give their best in this battle. After that, Lydia says to him, "Give me your stick for half an hour, because if you play around, you'll get a hit on the head." He says to her, "Don't worry, I'm not thinking about anyone." At that moment, Prince Richard and his mother arrive, having come to watch the great battle. Alan says to them, "I have built the transformation barrier so it doesn't harm the city walls. I want you to do everything you can, bring out your maximum abilities." Then, the big match and training begin between them. There are two groups, everyone fighting. Tina, Alan, Stella, Karine. Tina and Ellie use their formidable power. Then Alan talks to Stella and says, "You cannot allow Tina to unleash her formidable power. You must repel it quickly." But here Tina uses her golden dragon power and bursts into a purple fire. But Stella was true to her word and said, "No one will ever be able to stop me." The fight was very fast while Lydia and the leader watched through a simple telescope. Then Tina and Ellie hit the ice wall barrier, and we now know that Alan is with Stella and Tina is with Ellie. Alan says to Stella, "Come on, Stella, let's focus on plan B." So Stella uses the twin ice pillars, the swift ice spears, and the imperial ice storm all at the same time, 3 spells at once to shock everyone. They try to repel and attack, but Alan was ready for them. After that, Tina uses her power and summons the ice dragon, but Stella was excited and said, "Even though the situation is hopeless, I am excited and will not be defeated in this fight. We will use our trump card." And here they are drawn to each other through telepathy. Then, they take out the 2 birds and destroy the wolf in simple moments. Tina gets angry and says to him, "How did you do that in the blink of an eye?" He says to them, "This is my work. I learned and got used to it. Don't tell anyone about this no matter what it costs you." During the 2 weeks of training, I realized that Stella's spell is filled with light energy. She did not succeed in casting a great spell before because she was insistent on using ice. I suspected that she was capable of using powerful magic if she exploited light, and since I was with her, I trained with her a lot, and she is indeed a successful girl. Let's continue the fight. So she uses her full power. Then they face each other directly. After that, the fight ends. Felicia comes and hugs them, crying, and says to them, "I was so worried, but thank God you are all safe. Let's go and have some fun in new places to change the atmosphere." After that, we see Alan leave them and walk away. Lambria goes after him and says to him, after giving him a handkerchief, "Wipe your tears." He says to her, "I was actually crying. Those girls really impressed me and were something great. I did my best to the point that I learned a lot from them. Everyone has to learn from others. I can't be set on one thing. I have to accept from the young and the old." She said to him, "Good for you, keep up the effort." Then she leaves him and walks away. Lydia suddenly appears and he is surprised. He says, "No, I swear I wasn't cheating on you. You know she's an old lady, I can't say anything to her." Then his sister comes and says to him, "Where are you going? Are you planning to run away and leave me alone? Is that even possible?" Meanwhile, Lydia was angry and said to him, "How dare you? You linked your magical powers with the three of them, and you know that I'm jealous of you, and I've warned you not to do that so no one sees your inner body, and you're also putting in a lot of effort and could die. What if you had lost consciousness now? What would have happened?" He said, "I'm sorry, I really couldn't help it, but I brought you a gift. Here you go." But she gets extremely angry and fire comes out of her everywhere, and she says to him, "Now I will burn you." The next day, we see Tina with Alan, and she said to him, "Look, I'm very jealous. Sometimes I see you styling Lydia's hair. I want you to do the same for me." He says to her, "Just say the word, I'll do everything you want." And he actually styles it for her and says, "Listen to me carefully, you have to develop yourself more and more. You're great. Even though you lost, you are still beyond imagination." Second, Stella has to return home this summer no matter what, because she's been gone for too long and needs to go and rest. She says to him, "Okay, done." Then he remembers her father, the Duke, when he was saying to him, "I want you to deliver a final message to Stella from me. Tell her that I am very sorry and that I am waiting for her." Karin cries intensely and then says to him, "Thank you very much for this hairstyle. You are mean and strict, but something good." After that, we see him outside. Dina comes and his friend the coach, Inko, comes and says to him, "Good job, boss. I know you did some amazing things, and now there's a new mission. The Duke wants you to train Stella, to give her good training this time." Then everyone gathers around him and says, "Agree to train all of us. Refusal is not allowed." He says to them, "Okay, I will train you with a program." The scene shifts to that Duke, or this boy, perhaps he is the Duke's son, and he says to himself, "Why am I forced to bear this humiliation? You will pay the price, Alan." Will there be other episodes? We don't know yet, my friends, but I think, and this is the main thing, that there will be other parts. You have to wait, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell button to receive everything new on the channel.